Maybe some of them truly felt that there were inaccuracies in the elections, even though the courts have completely tossed any of that evidence out. There's been no evidence provided so far. But I wonder how much of this was politics being played, and because of that game, this is where we are right now.
Tom Llamas, Mary Bruce, it does appear that all the members of Congress we've spoken with are determined to, excuse me, we lost Mary Bruce. I want to bring this to Rick Klein then, and said they do seem determined to get this done tonight for both symbolic and substantive reasons.
Yeah, I think there's a growing consensus among Democrats and Republicans that it's important to send that message, that the process goes on, that there was a political component to today's events. It was meant to disrupt the counting of electoral votes, and I think it's important for the senators and for the House members to be able to resume that count. We just saw a statement from Senator Mitt Romney, who, of course, thought none of this should be happening in the first place. He's calling for all those objections to be dropped, to make something close to unanimous, and we've been hearing from senators that they may at least drop some of the objections, curtail what would have been a long process anyway. In another world where this didn't happen, we'd still be going through those objections and might do it into the wee hours of tomorrow morning. Instead, I think there's going to be probably less debate around that. I have a hard time imagining everyone drops all the objections, but that sure would send a strong statement, given how the president continues to hang on to these false theories.
Let me bring that to Sarah Fagan. Sarah, we are seeing more Republicans stepping up, including, Cecilia was reading the remarkable statement, the strong statement from former President George W. Bush, who, of course, you worked for as well. Based on what you've been hearing today, do you think this scaling back of the objections is going to actually occur? And do you think this has actually changed the minds and hearts of those who in the past have supported the president?
I don't know how it couldn't. This is a remarkably different situation than we were in 3 days ago. A person was shot today. People stormed the Capitol. They sat in the speaker's chair. I think the prudent thing for Republicans to do to make a statement would be to withdraw those objections. I understand the concerns. I share some of them. But we're in a very different place here, and that is the responsible thing for Republican members of Congress to do. I don't think they will all do it. Some of them are going to move forward. They're going to separate these actions from objections to the election process. But more and more senior Republicans, like my former boss, who you just mentioned, are going to come out with incredibly strong statements. This is not reflective of the Republican Party. It's not. Republican Party.
Yeah, well, it is. I'm sorry. I mean, it is. And there's a lot to unpack there, people. There's a lot to unpack because I've been at this since George Floyd was the first one to die in the opening shots of this critical, now ended Civil War. That was their basic last gasp. But now, there's so much to unpack here. And yes, it was their last gasp. Yes, it was, Richmond. Yes, it was Appomattox Courthouse. But it still signals a lot of things. And I'm going to just keep, once again, I like to keep it 100. And I'm going to do that. And both sides on this, better, if both sides aren't getting angry, then I didn't do something right. That's because that's what I do. Okay. First, white folk. A lot of black folks is going to be like, man, if we hadn't protested like that, they'd have been blowing us up. Right? That's probably true. Remember the Bible. Okay. But there's something to be learned from all of that. From watching that. White folks got it. That might have been wrong. They might have even ran inside the Congress. But they knew dude was holding a gun, but he knew not to pull that trigger. Hello. You get it? Do you understand, black people? Do you see where the white folks got us? Because see, that's a grassroots thing. That's something that's down at how you doing in the neighborhood. That's the Karens and all of that. And they're not going to shoot that. They already did it once in the Civil War. And they learned from that. Okay? They as much as these protesters are haters and I'm talking about in the raw sense of the word, not hater. I'm talking about hate. Hate. They're not going to shoot their own kind no more. Not like that. Not on a mass scale. You know what I mean? There might be the, like Robert E. Lee said, the occasional empty chair. No. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do all of us. They're not going to do all they self. So we got to learn from that, because I've been talking about that for months now. That they got their plan. You see what I'm saying? And they're not going to do that to each other. They're going to make their neighborhoods, they're going to keep their neighborhoods safe. They're going to do whatever they need to do. Them mugs that you seen out there, okay, you got them. Dude sat in Pelosi's chair, yeah, you seen him. Ain't nothing going to happen. If something do happen, it'll be a sprinkle. They're going to go back underground, and all I can tell you is watch it that. Now, black folk. The fact that they show you on TV a mass demonstration like that they're not shooting each other, that they are being at worst tolerant, at best cordial. The dude was pointing that gun at that dude and getting ready to come inside the train. They knew full well he wasn't going to take that trigger. He knew it. We gotta get there, and that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. That's the kind of thing that we need to do, that we need to bring to ourselves. Now, you see my video. Don't blame the leader, blame the followers. See, because it takes a lot of them to send a message. It takes a lot of them to send a message. And they basically said it on both sides. Yeah, we're going to get you out of here, but we ain't going to kill you. And yeah, we telling you now that we ain't trying to be minorities. Okay? There are some, and I want to hear Terry Moran. That's my man.
It's pretty clear that the fundamental question for too many American voters in their politics has not been what do you believe in, but who do you hate? And owning the libs or whatever you want to do to the other side has been the driving force. Donald Trump was made for this moment. He has a personality which is very good at hating and very good at tearing people down. And he lifted people up in some ways because they felt a champion, an implacable and brutal fighter against a culture that they thought was exterminating them or changing their beloved culture in a way they wouldn't recognize anymore.
Tell him, Terry.
What is the politics that led to this moment? When you heard Joe Manchin talk about the centrist group of Republicans and Democrats in the Senate trying to do business, when you hear about Joe Biden in his very typical way saying, we got to be looking out for each other again. That sounds like a note from a distant past. It is, but it is the kind of antidote that is needed to cure the poison, the toxin, right through our politics, to our dinner table arguments at Thanksgiving and all the rest of it that we've talked about for these years. That must change. We can ask our leaders to do it, but really they won't do it unless we will.
You see what I'm saying? Now you know why I like Terry Moran. Because that's it. That's what I've been talking about. That's what I've been trying to get at. You see what I'm saying? And people don't listen to that. But it has to start on each side first. The black population got to start loving each other in a way that we haven't loved each other since we were shipped over here. Look, I'm going to give it to you straight with no chaser. Most of us, including myself, are sons and daughters of slaves. We ain't no sons and daughters of kings and queens. We were sold into slavery for the most part, by our own kind. Again, I'm saying it sounds like a broken record. All right? So now, we've got to unlearn what we have learned about ourselves. We got to stop being slaves up here. We got to start reading books. We got to start flooding the gates of Barnes and Nobles. We need to go on Amazon and run them out of books. You know what I'm saying? That's what needs to be done. Hey, you poor white folks. Look, you got to stop thinking that somebody's trying to take something from you in a way that will demoralize you, because that's what was out there for the most part. Not them educated white folks, not them white folks that got some got some intellect, you know what I mean, that understand about the system and everything else. And they understand that. They understand what they need to do because they're doing it. They've been doing it. And it hasn't been highlighted. You see what I'm saying? Because I know them. I know white people that understand this. That understand that this nonsense is not good for any of us. You see what I'm saying? We can't blanket them and they can't blanket us. And we have to understand once again that majority of us live in the middle. And that is an extreme, what you just saw today. You know what I mean? And Antifa is an extreme. You know what I mean? Or too far to the progressive side. We have to do something somewhere in the middle. No, I can't always get what I want. Right? There's police officers that I trust. I'll be straight with you. Right? And there's brothers out on the block. I wouldn't turn my back on them for a minute. Huh? Yeah. Okay? That's where you start. That's how you fix it. That's how you do it. Being real to yourself. Because I know you're out there and you got people, friends like that. That you know that they're white and that they cool. I got a white friend. She tells me, she's all about, black people in the system and all that kind of thing. And see what I'm talking. She texted me today. See, it's privilege. That ain't privilege. All that is just hate. All that is extremism. And that's a small voice. It's a voice, but it's a small voice. Our voice is louder. And our voice has to become louder. And we do it by helping each other on the ground. Each and every day. See you there.